part of war reparation nati because reparation man lora faye akum kilima yaje reparation mu kuleti malon ko aning ku jamal be dending together and staff me transitional justice so kan reparations bonda faye je kawlon di jana wo mu misconception net wo coming flindir ko wati so that nim ko reparations fo ngake kuti ngake kuti nga faham nyala malon ko nga understand reparations abe lori nyadile anda mantan lora faye ani ku jamal be nakiring malon ko nyil benyanta tamala le nyama so that is why bring can my party kumasifa for you know and you can wata ni miso wata for kru mo malon ko fay lafta kala banko nyaton ko ti sama sinin ite ka kolje o nyamin na kala jirnya dangdo ya tabak ha because ate kolje nyamin drum ko di kolom kadi mo dolla mo dantan ka krodi la okay insonta ko e mantoro soton nun barata mita wala de yaje so ningo reparations nia abondi je dron o yatala dron then transitional justice la tunkum be yebe nafindile so ndela je nya menti ni reparation nyanta kelale ay timma kenya la mialon ka lankana mata kenya la mialon ka tilinta yaje andum fana be kala nya la mialon ko tunkundol fran melbe transitional justice kono ibe fana tama inyama ha for the prosecution lombang melan ko tilimbal yake kay samba kitioto warante ka memorialization melon ko ka ko dura for be place ol dulal le tol falinna bang fombe holiday le dila banka harmadi mel fata warante ka lung jura pour mo kana nyine la asitar kuti asike kuti man ka asitar hakilo kono wol be mu kulati melon ko be nyande kala nyala man ka timma ni laftan na transitional justice ake kuti melon ko abe sahala abe sabatila and abe kunat la meng is for never again akana ke kuti so that kotek nyim banko kana du nyim kusifa kono so that ake karam bundati melon ko fo Gambia te duna nyim kono kotek so ndala je na bo nyali
akumara bake mari yemin foto because niya jibe nyinkulbe ibe keren ando mini yeke komi ya fo la diamo kono nyamen mo be sembo di to la pour yake par mo eta sembo nyinta ka use it against ite mari from people madi wo mu kula de mi alonko sai wola ta kala na banko kan e gafanya dele cultural or traditional after kala kula de mi alonko sai molka je ko wolon silote ni lafta kanala ni lafta bola ni lafta fanka mayala fo ite tamo mo lekan yeke wonyam ando nintara fo jero kata wonyama madi that can be scary woko sila nyawarata lefo
I know Mr. Vandenga for many times because any mem for thing and in Gambia men not just under the dictatorship but nime Gambia tamani na jibe wo bring independence na banko mandar loring nin telung nin tonyaka na bunda men lon ning after government the state of the Gambia alota nyala melon ko mel ba kono aka wolle nafa aka banko dum nakari fo naflo to lombang fo topotoro to lombang purila nyantol banka kanta bang and every other thing the state bankola tamandir bunda aka banko dum nakari yaje ake bonondi banko dum la naflo to akadum melbe state kono kawol munafal sakodu mele alonko wolle la place warta wolle be santo nien constitutional jibe 1965 or 1970 or 1997 ibaje la constitutional kono nyanto menyanta dina banko dun la dangdo ya tabaki yaje then sembo mendita melbe bankola tamandir bunda kono state officials for sembo lombang for ka me tanko comme immunities privileges wol kasia and then melbe coming nga sound melde da constitutional kono ka me checks and balances was sound best estudiaring yaji so we may jan wolon drong Gambia na constitutional 1965, 1970, 1997. Adana nyala me alonko ni be bankola tamandre bunda kono in the government. You know, it can nafas ton katambi the citizen banko ding bed. Because banko ding la nyanto dang doyat. So that is why bring independence from a bit lomento Mustafa. Dinata bunda jata kenda bang tanin na bang you know kurang bang karang everything public service kaya ko adang doyata melon kanata banko diunka. By now 60 years later Gambia kabrim banjul fo Gambia danta dame sato sate nyanta tarra nyala melon ko amanya na kalate. Now minakita man keno because the state mantari dokola because loi membe laring among wargalo dila me alonko ibe doko kala membe Gambia dingu bondila bari ikana faso ton me alonko anafa fumata wonafa kola anata sembo dila me alonko ikaboy banku dingu kay banku dingu mantora fembu kaboje. So for executive lombang, for deputy bunto lombang, for local councils lombang, all right, any sector of the state, ikaja ko iternyanta document kele bukoke, niake abuka timma, niake abuka sahaya, all right, but in the farm nyanta sura naje itel kausoto, isi kenol dila, ngamotol dila, isi tama wato wa after daw danding, niena national budget jibe, all right, every institution. Ni salary botaje all the rest kamenje allowance lum travels lubricants vehicles so na flow bumba bekata melbe do ko la officials ñol itel lamuna fanka so we metan di Mustafa wolom de la republic a mantari loring los harink a mantar loring tonya kan a mantar loring nyala melon ka be banko na fala wala nan di moment dimbe government kono it ka sinya killing ka nafa men soton ke muna fa nyamen asembo ka wara baki and wo wato watin ka wajele ni mbotan salaji demolition ko fala mamme baki ne salaji jibe sukuta salaji ani la dol government ka muneke si banko ka stato yela kenota ya foko leyat lo janti o reserve lo janti o nyim housing estate leti o nyimu TGA leti then yo landing iraje officials da mon ikatala nyotema because imari mu minister leti imu president leti imu vice president leti imu deputy leti so enyanta mbe land allocate le state land because state land e land allocate why so it is do masha kunda kono be upon be director or minister in 1 year ye land dealer in a prime area because emu minister. But teacher made a current 40 years. Obe teacher la I'm a land sort. Police officer member police ala 40 years. I'm a land sort. So you know, what finally nila or plus or nyawnyandi ebe allowances, benefits and privileges to ngame alonko. Mome alonko abe sirim boraba mandari akatala faroda ala kunkodo o mo soton fereng. Jiwo man futama, kurang man futama, you know, ala balu be clearing. You know, at a banner merciful. So, Mustafa, therefore, what condom from for 1994 for menketa for B, ni mantoro kita because yeah, jamme ya feel ko sitale ngamul fa. But police on military soldier role ya feel ko sitale ngamo arrest ngata ngamo to wo culture wala be je for B na ko police also see it a mari arrest because they feel ko police we have the authority to arrest anybody. No, you don't have authority to arrest anybody. We have the authority to go and question anyone. You don't have that authority. You know, nimu minister you feel quite a slow more than a slow blood it. So na state of the Gambia, the government of the Gambia, ngafo tarin is a fraud, it's a scam. Because it exists only for the people Melbourne Dokola in that state. And until no equation will change, that nga state ke first and foremost and only as a servant, as a protector and provider for the people, that power sembo be molle bulu, and the state ya realize ko, molla sembo ndika tamani walla, right? And not to ko yembula mele
Hakedo
nyoke.
nge kuntu je do manding nge nyininka idiamo akumayata iko kabrin 1965 o kana bi tema na mansa kunda mantara loring kuring andung mol nyaabe wolla so inata labanko fonga wol falling ite ila miro to yemira wobe falinno la nyaadi naya tara banku din jamal min yalon ko wolle ka carte fay wol latale ko ila mansa kunda be doku le ila mansa kunda abe doku kanne andun ila mansa kunda aka yirwa nati fe because ika mansa kunda je ika silollo ika mansa kunda je ika lofitonolo ika mansa kunda je ika marcello ite ya mira o falingo be kenola nyaadi min mold
Yeah, so certainly falung bena nyaming for bankola nyaton kol yefuta wo tembo de melon ko ifaye ila miroto melon ka be lorim fanan ni la banko kanole kan anin ko ifanan i muhammad melon ko tilemni tonya la tala de kaje ko nganna mol soroka nga banko dada ni luwal to ani bundal to be mellondi la me alon ko abe banko diwon le nafala first and foremost. Now, bringing question Hakloblet the history of America, the United States. Now, United States, most of all, it is the first modern, or not even modern, but the first republic, in the world to be established in 1776. All right. In a constitutional 10 years later, around 1780 something, in a constitutional data. At that time, kumol be fokan, mirol be kekan, me mum banku sifale data because up to that time, membe kerim dunia wolom fonkolti kings and kingdoms and empires, republic masuto. So for the US fanamekela another kingdom that is coming, United Kingdom warante, other kingdom or melbe kering wato. In fact, kumol fotafang ko George Washington don't lafta fa ke king, the king of America. Yes. But bring your constitution dati. Because constitutional by jani lako nga banko melondi banku sifalom. Wokono ila igafe de lamol many wokol londi ila founding fathers. Klimbe kono I new idea of rule of law natinam, rule of law. Ako look, anga banko de la me alonko sembo be molle bulu. Bari banko melba tamandila ye tamani luasi loka. But ako sign ninga nyim banko da melbe banko tamande loni luasi loka. Wal fanan melbe banko tamandla jumanda fanan be wol crossila. Yaji, who will check the governors or who will govern the governors? And that is how nying rule of law coming luala silo idea natananko government de na constitution da me alon ko ay silol landi ay silol walang melba kono government kono ibe wol le silol le normal so that e kanata nyala me alon ko la kunna miro lon o la finolom o nyaaw nyandi me alon ko sinati nyaro ko me alon ka sembo si wara na we me tan di wolom dron ko Gambia fana nimba da dala na executive lomban na national assembly lomban na other leaders na political leaders even na intellectuals you and me fo no banku din kano banku kano soton banku ya komin na banku di ya kano no soton na tiling na tonya fasa ko anga Gambia da malan ko pour bi dronte bar Gambia malan ko fo faw so that ni daraji be America la constitution na tambira 200 years la bri amendment me yake la constitution do amantambi 27 la the 1997 constitution nga amend le mentamba 50 times and the 1937 constitution sanji tasaba drong awla soto America la constitution sanji keme fula mentambi tawala ya amen menna amantambi sinya muandi worowula why because ye constitution la nyala mialon ko ye bila jibe anin kunum anin sama yo until 1965 1997 1970 1997 and now in 2024 mandari ko jibe ka wonya yaje so prungo bangu sifa da Suleiman dafo fonga nyaton ko so mere alonko itilinta ha ila fatonya la ye banko kanu an ibe imam bidron jibe bare sama fanan fo sama jibe yo ko flan jangu menti wala fanam fo banko dimliye e haklo yiri wande fo banko dimliye kol krosi ye kol jibe ko kaje ko banko de abe loring al halo kan tunkum men ka abe loring nyamen wolom kuti membe banko dimul nafala so that fo banko dimliye ye fan tambindi dronko nyimu party kari kuleti nyimu si kari kuleti nyimu dina ku kari kuleti warande nyimu interneti bari ndel bela nafa anin nasama yaje melan ko nde darajan dewul mamarin wol dewul mamarin fonti banko de dano le melan ko hani wol nata ino banko abelare nyamen ino sitano le ko bi americani de banko bitaka nyamen so ndamara ni mba fale no la tenede ha yo del dum na promona da kamenti kabring 1965 fombe bitilo mendo wolom ti ka nyatan ko beto soton o kisambulu problem bati o manke dronko at the level of the executive comme president dron ninko bankola nyatan ko o ninde ko bankola nyatan ko in my mind meme mirakan atambeta president in cabinet dron lale atambeta député on lale also a political party leaders dabo konole na intellectuals dabo konole na nyaton kadol melalon ko fo dina nyaton kolombang fo ada nyaton kolombang melbe business kono wol be mu part of na leadership it melbe dabe bulari ijante da kafla nyim bankola dadaro abekala nyamen anyante kala nyamen be nyante da bulalo kono yo wo ndenga men cross bring independent from bitilo mento wo nyaton kaya sayari banko be nasri wolto babaki and every time o kala kenema
nyaton kaya ngana murunje yalong iko banko la nyaton ko aka nyaton ko la dingol la aka wolle miro tubab kangol ka fo nyame banko dingol le ka nyaton ko tombo so niye mo tombo andun kom ya fo nyame andun fana ngaje nyame niye tombo nge tambinde nyato ibuka menu ye tombo mira kotenke eteke fam mira ebe fan barkandila nyame itebe kanala nyameng ila immediate dimbayal be kanala nyameng so woketan na problem bati fo ning election o sita comme ya fo nyameng ikelye wo sutentel bala wolati na ni election o sita isafo kana karte fa Sulemani fulole bolonko non kolem kana karte fa madi mu mandin kolti atemu capital banjul dingolti kana vote ke assist mujolati abota fonyile so rusifal aye mol batandi bake so ntel banku dingol bake la nyadi le pongaje ko nga motombong anu hande nga motombong ngaje nyin asita sanje kelen sanje fula muntel nga tombo minna amantara wo dokola mbe muneke la pour ka bondi je kado sendi kotenke because nga bangu dol je for instance like Ivory Coast even though man carte fire ay kudeta leke anata si bari dindingole mu fondin ke le mati aka doko minke sai woye dunia nyaton ko be nya bole andu ibe ka fo andu mol nyaabe loring Burkina Faso be yirwa ka nyame munatin nan telman wo keno Senegal ni ajube ila leaders hol iman 2 years soto barobe siring for 8 years bari woye Senegal ka Senegal tamande nyame until man was of anu kabri 1965 so mune mun tella problem oti ite mune mun tella problem oti as a nation
I mean system na problem ning bankula problem man fata yes Senegal fo and Burkina Faso but right now in the America jibe ko wole leaders of the melon ko afelenta be mantoronati kan banko kan so we made and the wolom drong mo betol bije mo kurung bije mo sobel bije mo barakantawl bije yaje dolmina through leadership coming Burkina Faso through a military coup alright dolmina through an election moleta e kato faye ko Adama Barrow warante Jomai Faye warante Donald Trump alright but then Donald Trump alan kana mala ko telewunin to nyaate mantari wosilakan kalluwano mate mantari wosilakan bank America la nafate wosilakan o mate hati ko joma ya itande nyame Senegal ya hatile ana laftaka tamanin telewunin to nyaala kanin luwasilo kan yo den la Baro ya itande lako telewunin to nyaama mate hati Gambia nafa mate hati sako dum Gambia bota mantoro ben ko melon ka te olong ana nata nyame melon ko a bebe lankene marin a nya kasu wala ko aba ala kumplin na fala normal so nyin lira sifal ibe fata rin dunia kon a betemal bije a kurumal bije barbutun banko fanan to da banko diwul la bulu and wo fanan manke magic ti because harabadi donati to that drone itamari yemune faham yemune long ila values it mumunati and it pareta ka lord la jumaleta so bi americano le from it le katrofai but it americano le wulta slang ngaje every day you go be protest like all over America be balanka bita court and so on so ngamira sometimes mol ni man kudol me haklo to kudol to akoku yaja ka kula wudu so ni kudol ke dabita kudol wudu la yo Ivory Coast o warante Senegal ngajele membe ke kanje yo Gambia fanan atula Gambia non la bulu weda membe tamakam mesonala abilare nyame ngatawonya warante fomol be balane le ngaje ko bundal membe lorin kanna balan tandi kaje ko banko kana so taji silo la manyan sala silo menna ngalo silo ka kuma ngata court warante nga protest and of course election will be jele sama sinin kote
akumara je kumara bake mari put a point there sambe minkel a dot honorable Bakari nyinku saying a jakalo bina warala akamulu ne ko fankum wala be kere mako ngana baraka andung mako ngana baraka abe fanna bel akamulu ne ko bitilo ni lafta bola ni lafta kanala mansakunda doku ibe tarala wala andu mansakunda doku la ndanga amra wol nyanda kala banku dingol la doku la le de bari not itol la fisia comme ni la fa fisiala wala yaji ko kende anim barako be minna kodo mansakunda doku place nyanda tarala wala wosa keno ku tilen ngoti nyaadi le Bakari
apara ka wage Mustafa topic ko nyum kumara bage yalo dunia dawda ni be koditiol kodela business lalo anin sene lalo wolel mu koditiol masa kunda dogo pure dogo ke la bango ni la fra porka kodo so be kara business wala onde ta senola so kongo lo fo mole jam ni aje nyi fufuro me be bango kanja mole aje le biko masa kunda dogo wala ka fensi moma pando monyanta wala ke le fenso do surtout masa kunda me alongo busarote je hanni fenta ba nga audit report ol sede anyi banko kanjan audit report jamal le finta ka sunyaro be keren so bar wol fintirin ko la kan ajele ko bukan oje so wala be ka molo hamendi kaje ko sai man sakunda do ko fufu rolte kataje ka fensoro and won fenne de me alongo Mustafa kongo ngaf nyam mi kol men nimba kontela kol men yalango nyim banko murundi koma ko be corruption no kono anu fonye be kero nu kunu abeton ne bang wando munat na bi molbe hameta proka man sakunda do kulalle ka fensoro ka sam nyin kama ko kaje ko nyinam kude me alongo asante fanga ma andino so wom bata kuler bar mune o sabu mbo o rutle jubela kanu mul kajele ha mul ka dum masakunda do kol bla dolto e ka fenso to je anu o fengol mene ka so da bukata ni silola bara ala tabali ani silola nyaranding tembu ka kela so wole be ka mul hamendi bi akamta luanta ya wanto ni moyo ko ke me alongo busaro nyanda kala ka namke aka mulle nyaadu ni man sala fengol la aka tinda e quand même ko corruption e tilimbalia asembo ko wara ba ka man sakunda kon sakunda ta fafta ta legulo to me alon ko bulo buka bitno kan kon na banko beta nyame par sa en to nyanta munel kel an men ko tilimbalia ke jumalel muti munata ne kake wo mu kule me alon ko akumata ba ke nyanta je jibel anum Gambia banko ganja Mustafa ko lata ba bar Gambians are very funny nyimbanko ndel kilon lel ka nyaata ko tombon kana muru nke itamandin fangolo kungo kan nyaton ko sitara kula me alon ko anin silo manta bari sentol kilon le kamurun ka foko a bete ata lake mbe example o dile la mamme bake mbodo sungaro kono sungar salo keta wato men kono kabring alfa ta president kumol fota je mol ya jago president manya nawol fola kaje ko ka al mamola kutubol ka aka kenyamen wato do banin silo bugata but after 2 weeks no almama kilon le je murre data president ya kafa dole safaroge dole kudu bol fanga kafa ko yemen ko yeman kasi ko nyanta wala fol so ndol bota men kono yara fangan kabi we did not learn anything nkamuru wala kon cause ya jam men keno fombe victim wala fala fombe na victim compensation or reparation or whatever ba miral ndel fon le ya buso dia lankayem bus so busaro tambe so o ku kelen han kabi mankarang no yar kelen fana sika ngadi adama ni adama balama faye fanya abe continue la wanta abe mbusala buzo me alon ka abe dimla hani ya ta mo kana rule out ko men get ata kenol never again as a kenol because dol gamen no lel fon gam pare president we dan la ro fine anyanta al mamul ko sonna alka kudu bo ke nyambar ka fo ko to an extent fo ka fo ka al kudu bo is massive will no atul fon nyoko after 1 week or after 2 weeks alta ta ya ka fa yemen fa man ke kasat dunia dula min tolen nyaton go lol da man ka itande ka fo ko do betal la account alta na na reje nyame o kusifalu anu won tol ko be jigirin dina nyaton ko la kabrum ko mo fata amin fontol da mala be nyam banko kamba Gambia la problem mo ko leata bakar bar foka tonya ko Mustafa most of things ka start ndol majority particularly with the Muslim ya jamme balanda jawaro na ngaje it was only a Christian leader mello raka tonya fa ndolla mol wea de so nyimu kulet me alon ko nyanta haklot la ane madi ko kulim fo me alon ko masakunda nyanta jibe la bake banko kulobo ko be banko kanyame kamen fo land ngamira nyanta murale na state land act the unfortunate part of the current government fangonia jibe kato fayde to le men kam pour ka reform jamal ke jan state land act covering colonial days le ngol be jan so olmul wale de men alon nyanta jibe la kafu ko monso kunda era sur le ka blood la kata banko kam particularly Combosen Mary area ni kaga masa kunda la state land kaga masa kunda la land to nyala mul kam en fonni atma albo talal badu nam mulla sabat masa kunda la ko le kon sanaje mul sa fahamno bare ngajel ko kenolo nyunu katala ka di mo punkile wala to nya be mkile wala hanna to non teketa beneficiary do kenola bare nanin silo manta amanya na furka so banko ko be maneri mbake la falen ri jamal le nyanta kel
nakari ite député yakele député yamara nyinko min bebe kere yamara député ise muna keno pour ka banko dingol nyafire yamara député se fenkeno nyinko tolo pour ka bonnin tol foarol kam yamara se fenkeno jelo
Mustafa banko itata je i quand même pour wala député wala mol nyaat ngana 2020 ndabe delegation ko na menta jamani 9 good days mbe jamani ka deportation ko nyin negotiate pour ka ko isa stop no munad na fontano taje ko député wala mol nyaati so jikita ko ni député wala kumate la moli ibe nen tol kumata na moli mbe ño faham la men be je me alon ko man kay to soro wan men mo to man so kunasi fero ke no la kaje ko kela kolu kela status nyol de dai se ke no banko dum wando ka kayro dil so Gambia fanan jam problem mo men bebe jam nin dibito le la rollo wala na konko ko made me ntel Gambia jang ka karto fa nyame nale dan kontron carte fogo wandale si carte fogo wandale region carte fogo at the end of the day you produce very very poor national assembly all be Gambian all that ika mobile carte wala jang abe député yala abe do wala akake kene just because amantana kulliyol to wanda amantana manyo bidor those are the fault and woman ke député wala woman ke ika député bal carte wala praka na mur député mo la mento wanda kana ke député wala mun ndika tala to ko kala nyam so we have a national assembly banko tare nyana national assembly can also so dibitolu la do ko be mankirim ba ke nyim banko kan you should not sit down and wait for government national assembly member rights or like private member bill na di dibite bon kali ko loi le fale ne maso ko ndaka be slow la area dol and on dibitolu facility based you have a good salary
pour que comment la sudi afa dibitol member Gambia bi na fatela nga fo nyama ko di nga dango ko di
maybe also wara no la back but na fa be ja do yata back particularly the current national this sixth legislature is not doing as expected of them so kole aku balade and ibuka lon ko mun nyandare na email do ko keno because government has really made them very comfortable ka kol ke me alan ko sela do ko so ila do ko be mankiri makel but I interact with them they will tell you
ke promise tamola ninka kodo dila kodi let's be very straight
what baby jela because I interact with a lot of them why this not happening why ka go on table do good national assemblies and definitely this national assembly if one can admit and then the other I remember until the national assembly traveling was restricted because they cannot go and yimasa kuna mon kodi
député ngajam ko indi député ka admit la ko ita fola no ita kala no ni wonte to kumala kodi
wol bebe jela ni ngeni nga munat na nyinga gal buka keden ka fa we are divided on party line in wo jela bat because whatever comes from the executive dol ka ko ni man nyin support hanar mana man ga banko dingol la napat mol bitande jela ko na party be next election it sponsor la wadon na party be jela nyaade a lot of force like press wala ka tare ga me alango ila party ko gos ka ko look alanga nga potanta government nabul and wota nyim banko samba so kuler mi alam ga national assembly tinya bakele so fankun ni ba nyin la Gambia masakunda blalo national assembly blaman tambe jel I mean this is the government look dunia ko mol bela expenditure ñun ko kan pour que la banko ding wala sur lo government bo education health and then whatever kon ko la jango buga government be sila la foye but July first quarter second quarter third quarter ko we are putting a ban on traveling when the traveling budgets are already exhausted so ñimman na faati ñinam ko de men anan ko banko dingol ñanta en jubel anum membe caring na national assembly ni anjube Mustafa ite ka ko next election na sita kar ñol tam buran bar ni mo because mol men yalan koy bo le represent ka wol dol malon di dol fa be men one problem wala na this language barrier ñin be ñanta jibelal and then the relationship national assembly mol members ñol ni la mol tema inyanta suti ya bala ñolal national assembly members ñol mol ñante la national assembly members ñol monitor la ka je ko be men but wo bebe mankiri ñim banko kan madama ye karto fayite e kanela kulli blale de don ke ay be men ke to la ko ibe men ke gam banko la ko do mi non de dibidol dol de tamala ñim banko ke sinol fende fo be manya men so what di meta bagale je ñanta jibe la baake but then leadership anywhere atake dit
okay akumara thank you Bakari Aziz ndela Gambia dia man tambite ndela kambe dia man tambinte momin fanan be siring gunjuru walla bolon ko mola Gambia dia man tambi moti bar biti do ni ajibe ku talaro be ke kanyama nin ko be ke kanyama Aziz ifan ka jele ko mol minni ya lon ko bije walla e longo ke walla e faham roke Aziz banko bije pul wolle Aziz wose ku wulu imamera wose ku wulu non Aziz
Mustafa baraka baki bari nte malum fonna brain ko to taliban katu nte dula kilinne muta hakilobe wolto alnata deviate
okay
nyin kacha nga yele menna wole mu my fati la remarks about victim reparation over prosecution wole mu ka molme mantorata yaya la jaman wala foka nyabur fendi la wala kabula yaya noma Ntefe wo topic nyantanu nga siya mbete ma follow janimbe jompla doto so that nsa exhaust. Katu madi da male commenta woto.
Okay, tanatiji Aziz. Yalo hani bi
wo kuma ya tantefe back.
No, yalo nyin ko be nyameng withdraw it nga fight tabulo kan ne saying. Okay, if another thoughts wo fanato, share your thoughts.
Bari silang sila menkete inata na nyinin ka kudola other than that. So lafta kamurunje domandi.
No, tanatiji, yes, go ahead.
Akuo nyaja important tamfe. Madi explanation le ke jamea lunko Gambian ko nyante la moy la baki.
Akumar, okay.
Katu ninko victim reparation comme josayo. Moli amiral kodron josayo mu kodoleti. O mu kodo damalti. Adu madi e men itandi jandinga moyku. Yaya la tinyaro tambita hani mol men mantorata kono. Banko fana fango e mantoro sota kono. Hannin tara ye victime olu bondi je banko fana fango mantorata kono. Auto reparation nying a tambita doron victime ol dammalale bara a tambita kodolale. Yondum kodo damma fana mam mola sulo jara. Katubi molu beje meya lonko. Bi wolumalo munekete la wulula la wale badingol la wale dingol wale kemal wale la musol. Wolu bi no amount of kodo ise mune dila wote juso nyabunola madama e malo muneketa chief manela ya bade muntole. Wodunte lonna nin kitiyo mal londi. Dolu beje ye kodo dila nyawnya e laftamen jela wole mu menul ya lonko wole nyin tajirinte yake. Wolu foye sambanan silo ye londi silo ka ye kitindi. Wole be kloso sambalanan. Wole ba tinna sila ye sabare yamfu. Ninga mai fati la moyi kome madi e memfo maila hakili doya le atina aya mirako. Bi victime la sulo muneti wole mu kodoti oto jannimbe nyin billion jamal tala kayaya prosecute ngadi nyenu la doro silan yeteya amanyan tama o nyama ndum reparation in prosecution amanke kufulati be katale bari transitional justice men madi afo ada diata nyebaki abeo kono hani TRRC men ya londi abeo transitional justice le kono pour ngalo muneketa so that nse karanga kono nsina futa nyanta futa la dame memu never again abeo kono constitutional building process o transitional justice wale atina bi ikonga new constitution sambana bayri nin constitution ya jamela constitution asembeta wala ka banko molu tajirinteya abe o kono ikonga na security sector reform na security sector nga reform so that at least menka kenu na banko kantarlali ka men kenu isembo membele ikake na ulu be stop. What on tefe, it's a very serious implication nimai lota ka foko. Janimbe nyin kodo lutala nga ake on kayaya prosecute aning perpetrators na tanga di victimol.
Aziz. Ya mira mine atina maye kodo damaje nyin kodo. Mai fati mine atina kodo damaje je.
Ntefe ala fahamuro le danta wo nyama bayri ni ko reparation bi mo jama ya mira reparation wala mu kodoti wala mu compensation elo reparation beje le compensation beje mon mo wo understand compensation can be monetary physical reparation is beyond that wo tambita wala le Womuka dadari leke kula men ateke so that akana soto again. Nenkumu masino nye problem o soto. Bari diole mala problem oti. Ne joke je umuri pare sore. Bari ka try ka fix so that ne joke je asi me ya soto fa panta kanao wala mu reparation ti. Wo tambita jio damalale. I want lafta Gambian call say je understand. Isije understand because molu beje bi ne kodo di mola hanin tare o billion I ka memfo ya di mo kilina ba bannale one day. One day a betarla the same situation o kono adingo ba nyinin kala nyinu fele ni fama ifama e bulo mute bita salikerat nde fama le. That statement can be very, very, very powerful. Sakaninga malo. Woto nyin kuma ya tante fe bi. That is a topic men ayen ma baki bari madi fango yen ayen malumbe munefola. Ayen na emotionless spark. Ayen na emotionless spark because nte I believe in this transitional justice. Woto nte fe this is unfortunate. Nteta fola tawta de tumodo ala fahamuro le danta woto bari sa fo Gambian kol ye ko kayaya nin ni molu men ke sambanan kitio nyatili wala wo me bali ni be compensate la a me bali reparation wala bara kumma yata pour nga lo mune be kering ya Kenya dile anim fana menul be nyato bi isa lonko woto mbatu ngang hakiltu katu me yaya soto asen soto ninga danna tamboki lafta jele fora
Akumada Bage Aziz Madi, your thoughts on Mylanyin comment because more beseverola jangi bafola ala comment ming ayafo aningal ayako jenyaming among hakil maya man jekko koronia jibe anayako fonyama anayako mira nyaming mo jama bije bafo ko maybe hakil wala jamfa for amalon for alafta relevance la for atata a press conference kumandi kulla minni alonko mamera janta kumandiro ko min janta kumandiro wala janta kala kuti mi alonko ay banku dingol sola kadite molde mi ala ko lafta banko molle nyaton ko yalla wodo ko mi e mol sula wala nyanta kumale te rather than ite fango e kuma fo e kuma kam fo mi alonko ka wo defend malo ila tos mu ila kono dia ba kala minati nyim fannal madi
certainly Mailafo, and so fonga the profile of that person fanalong.
Akumada.
Because me kumo for ateleafo. Mo sifalo woti atakalo mintole mundo la sifala bate bulo mira sifala babulu abone itandika. And it's unfortunate because my character karantale for karang yanta dana dame afahamtale atamatale so there's nothing malon ko mais afate molon yo barbutum the reason me adenda nyum kumofo nsajiba ala other actions nyol because nimma tata join an alliance kono malon ko APRC board yaje and in other individuals malon ko wolle ya jamme sembentu yande o tilimbala men gambe bulata kono kawo kanta kawo sabatinde banko di wodi ni mansi weke kuti meye mira minta ko gambe na nafa kota ke ite mo jibe ite kuntli na nafa le jibe yo mo safa don coming ni kanyi kuma sifar fo kallo nyi ku sifar kan simaro nati frankan istina fa soton je barbutum asika kudi malon gote bunyani horomo ite franto soton nola and monyanta my advice la ko ala keba be tembo mento danga believe Gambia di woding o haramadi ni tata fo 60 years soton yaji inyanta ifamuta la komite musay bankula alfaleti ike moti malon ko ye tonya muta membe banko nafala ye lowo kan yaje ikana badi yaji be tirma yaji be o kumpli nafa ku jibe bari jamala nafa yo kanta. So it is very disappointing ko mai ala kebabe tembo mento ala londo be tembo mento ala fahabro be tembo mento ay transition reparations ta ayo muta coming na transitional justice be tata nata reparation law and reparation from mukodoreti and that you know or reparation fana man nafa soto je nata manke mentu ron coming mo kunklina nafa koti ama nafa soto je you know Mustafa ndele la flatara dulato yaje dami alon ko dolbe kumbo kan dole nin dimi be siri ndebe sabati o dulato man wuli man kuma kaji ko melbe kumbo kan melbe dimi kono kela you know ni kuya ila ni toro la man toro kaji ko kawo boy bay yaje ndenga mera o mu haramadi yalta mu ko de malon ko sako may malon ko aka kuma bake nin dino la ko la kate mo mota lata dino la islam la so momman ni yo o lor lamuta e nyanta kala modi malon ko itebe dawo dande jama kono jama be dawo dande e be lafla la ko dal tilumu ni to nyaay tari sabatri barke nyaka su wala ka kol filindi nyala malon ko afo nyaale nyamen ani ko ani mi so warta bake ko mo sina wuli ka ñum kuma sifa fa sako mo malon ko you know ala taka ñim banko ñaton kaya katum bi janni may be ñim fam fala nsin haklo bande ko may famu ministre la tunu ñim government kono yaji at the very beginning wo kola may dabe di party kono melye coalition of form 2016 kaje ko falawe na ani system change le fono yaji ila MOU ani la manifesto la candidate o menkata adam baro la manifesto banku diul mbeda neta yo read ani bajala ko transitional justice mu kumalti mala ko ya foje system change mu kumalti ya ko ya foje yo kumembe wonya inata banko ta you know bari science sanji konon ni data o manifesto kono jibe abumbabe membe foje 75% to 80% di mo ke fon and maybo banko tamandri bunda the cabinet at the highest level abenun jele yaji so iteman kata kuke biro wato kaje ko banko e falling ko system change men gafa ke transitional justice ake kata baka kabiro wato but form fota fo bi temboto you know ite kana kanyum kuma sifa ko e nyaabe victims ñol la mol la dindul la musol kewol malon ko e mantoro kono April 10 and 11 bi molbe steering wheelchair kono malon ko April 10 and 11 ye bunkilo la watole hari bi wolbe steering wheelchair kono e bon fenno e faye damanta mome makoy you know so wo mari manke drong ko di kuti go wo hani billion diala wote ite wote lono na kotake go sinyaro men tawto o be tara wheelchair la kono wo fota karam men na bi April 10 and 11 victims will melbe gambe bi mbe forum do mbafo kanje coming pour ka understand ndewol jono la nyame hani reparation ngamune dilate jo say nola ngoko bi modol be in Gambia April 10 and 11 ila classmates dol mu CEO leti company to dol mu director leti dol mu managers ñol leti dol be banko banta ye you know ye kutute yaji ifaye anila family ye you know ila wulula samba maka ye kordal lo ifaye yela musol so be siri ye you know ibe fan topotoka bari yewol mel torata wo April 10 and 11 2000 bi wo dolbe siri ni ndoko le katama ila karan kuntuta wolto e man karan so don kotake amanna balu nyaadi la melon ko asayata so wo tata foire yala kono
akumada mari lafte ma ko janto because ni ajibe ngalon no mol bi jela minni ya lon ko politique patiol ya lole dol bi je ye fansum kol soto minni ya lon ke ka ke fanniye ande ka je ko man sakunda to bi je mol jama jama e ka ke critics di man sakunda ni mantara man sakunda nyin kono wala ya je ko i mantara kuto mi ya lon ko ani man sakunda la kole nyoma majele gamben ka jamal min yalan ko mo to borngol lo mo farmanser ngol lon kul kono pari jama jama ikaje ñun ning malam mine ka sabude malam foni ti sam mako eno je mine ka tinna mol katara banda loring kaman sakunda criticize ban nim man sakunda yaje ko ñimun na critics la di ike approach ye sabane kan mol min ni bako mbe tol fola jang sabal yaki janne aning Ismaila Cisse Mai Fati Henry Gomez ñol aning wol sifal wol be mte malong mu nek ñing sifal sabu made what mu nek sabu
yeah so bala ko Mustafa ñi manke drum mo kunklin na ku problem ti ñi mu banku be courant lati yalon ndenga kafolo Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice and go manke organization to coming the usual organization, workshop organization, warrant a project organization, civil society organization. Del belori ne kaje ko ka Gambia fali nyala mealon ko nga korosi ko Gambia man legal problem drosoton, institutional problem, technical problem, and so on, political problem. But Gambia fana a serious value problem. The society is serious value problem. And values, at the end of the day, what a difference make? Because isi karang, fadanta dameng, isi jorang be sotong, isa sembo sotong, everything. But the moment imam value sotong wrong, ikaje ko karang la nafa kana dang kadoya. Yaji. And niaji be bankon mel be yiriwata, bankon mel be yiriwakan. One of the difference, you know, kafo mole, alkasi in kafo tubabol kataten, ngoko but ni ya ko korosi, tubabol la society la tamandiro kono, inila tilimbalial be, values ka kumaje bake, katela office also, you have an ethics office. Yeah, you have policies on ethics. Your ethical conduct, Mustafa, woman de la big problem, even though del ka teacher comme mu musulmon leta nin christianol ka teacher nin na adol la kon na adol mu ada betel leti bari memman ke bi kuti but for a long time nyaje mbe aja meso na for so long even jawra fam betara je for 30 years value problem no le soto yaje na value problem le soto and nte gambe de dano na damantang na man values nyol nati back in the middle and the center. So na transitional justice man na just kala legal reforms, institutional reforms, reparations, and constitution building and so on. But it should also be value building. Yes, values build. That is why some of us we're happy 2020 draft bring a section on leadership and integrity. But ngaje nyata ubondi out of the 2024 draft. Yeah. But values were a big problem, and that is why in the Banco corruption theater. That is why more ibukela doko okay, but he left a bela. That is why more be falling na coming email told for my party ni sabale and so on, more be sound na political party tema itamari ilata munela ita sonta munela mune beta sonda mo kono mun haramadi ya itilata wala. So ndanga feel ko na banko and this is why we are insisting having the independent 1970 emphasized because left a conversation or more muru back to the conversation. Ninko Gambia. And all of us be near Slomuta, Sarakunda Master, any moment the benda mobe bafalako. There I'm a proud Gambian. I love Gambia. Nga Gambia Kanulente, Gambia Manjong Sotonye. How can Gambia Manjong Sotoye? And in that Gambia, corruption, Tilimbalia, Yaje, what can a Tamani Buloti? And he must be better than but he called Gambia Manjong Sotoye. Kote Gambia Kanule. Munkanu Sivana what? Ika political party support, politician support man, get a fire alonko, Ning Marin, Nilmula Hiditiala leti. Nilbuka kuma sobali fall lalum yilti. Nilmujika tinyala leti. And it take a political party support, it politician support, it cool support. And the Sina for Monaco, Denga Gambia Kanule, Temu Gambia, Nyonte. So it raises the question, Gambia Dim from the average Gambia Dim, Mum value lebate bulu, Ninko values, what do we understand? Column values. And I have seen this, I mean, people approach me, Madi, you are the most consistent activist. Okay, that is very shameful. Bango bebe laring. You come more killing you more than the Gafokoda, the most consistent this and that. Bango be the consistent lale. Because consistency is a value. Because more man consistent, amanke tonya moti. More man consistent, omanke banku kanumoti. So ninka see ngafoko politics only Halifasala is the only person with integrity. That is very shameful. That is a disgrace. That's an indictment. In the whole country, in the whole country, Jumale consistent, Jumale integrity, Jumale mutonya multi, a whole country. So, Mustafa, my just because Nyadon column, so at a lankana matter. And it would feud and the Melbourne sounds well like matter. But let us go back na school kono, na satolto, na kafol kono, na official to taring, na jibe mundaji kale be mola. Yaji. Musafa and nuclear water and miso water, but na banko na molman dajika. And moment man dajika. Banko me molman dajika. Ikai akalankene male coming banko bet a halo bento. Ha. So na banko manon for Gambia diun Castilla banka Gambia jibe coming nka picture nga see nga analyze nga review nga ko mira na al halo benjamin. Ha. Coming ka mel for fodin te lata wala banka bara wala na bank.
Akumada. Bakari Kanede Bake, let's make it interactive because near friend the body have for after Kamadi Janza or Soul or anybody what utara. But he member foka Kumada Bake. And then Dobie near Mira Ikamirako Gambia Nina Alakuto for Alamimba Gambia or Alamimba in England or Alamandara Gambia Bank. For more civil minbe Adama dingol minbe America or whatever wala more civil alamo wala diet Gambia because Gambia ko dobi ene ajibe for miro lombang for wasabali alombang for dankane abale alombang for hadumo lombang for tonya for bale alom for jengol ibel londela no minja
Mustafa konka ala fella fa mari e men farek ani labanta nyen men fala wolel mu koti danke ne abale abejele kafa ko nimmantra masaka wando nimmanye information ay pala ordinanta balula on problem nda kunni momen beja momen be entebile Mustafa kafa nyako be siri mantra do kula ha domino nat mani be NPP biya be do kol o siata bak kon ko embaluta la woto mo MPP mana andum they have a professional somebody le mundete ngo jani ngadum politiko ko no baluta lan anu nadu han sama ni moto profession do be man boto sandara be balula. That's the most important. So ni o lak ta banko kam ibuka sama mire be lungumen kono do ye soto da malaje e hadumeta and then anin kujama imalo munem sacrifice pour banko e tolke ko da malaji be wonyim banko mol batande bake momen yalo ka si ka ko nteni mansale sa iteni mansame mu nte betar la mansale ko man to so no bugata ko do no ge fete lola nyanda yelo so womu kolle me alon ko anyim banko mol batandi ba kele mol be soto men kono lumen banko me yalon ko itamata ite banko be tama elota banda ba iko Mustafa man betea alal dabo Mustafa la ko so manda kile na murna iko Mustafa nyom mo be do kere just because I palas already so who is going to listen to you anu nyinel mu kude me alon ko anyim banko batandi ba ga Mustafa anu nkaje o kata nyamen aka kafule amkatala ndama alon fombu kana lessons nyol sambo do la sifal ka diam mole lungo na wo inconsistency sifalu or because Gambia da malen dulade me alongo ikaje ite ko be ruling party member je wando masa ko nambe siri mantra kol ke ko ka manko dingol man kontani la kol ite fana lefta la pour yana isaje kol ke ko bar ni de lefta pour hani la nomination ore ko imang timmandiro ke pour ye lo ye banko nyini ye bonita ka man samento nyenu kuni ka tamuri ka la wala ka so it does not make sense wala na kolara ba ka modanta ne benyim banko kanjang te actually hardly attack people but wol dol mukala fe ngit ko le kon na life kon mbuge jubel ko momem bago Mamadou Saval mom bago Ismaila wol be banko men kam wol a jakalo ka war ba nde sometimes I feel as ni wol fo ka finde no nyaade le ni mol ka nyosi ni mol ka nyoje kunu yemen ne ya be fama bi kana si ka mo la nyom mo ken do de kere so ita kam non fo mole ita man fen karam ita ko karande ita man fen karam do ne fen karam pane mallala so nyinel mu molti men yalongo ibenyim banko murunde kanko andi be kafu kanne imaja mamme just last week ngamo ko meeting bala at state house men yalongo 8 of political parties and you will see them coming because yalongo ntete fenke no la so batanga ngande ne mansala no mansa winde saja se pala so den ite buka banko la nyaado ta jube so nyinu kulet men yalongo anyim banko batande bake in addition to the reparation issue fana Mustafa again kafol ka lole wando mol ka fom ga institutional dale ila mande mu monede wando Gambia no jama mol buka long membe keka wala na han tiara si fon challenge do solo e kam mol je hanni ye memuda wana wa yediten akonta mo victim mol de meda tiara si o buka account fon so da be men fola na da buka fen so da men fola tiara because si malong mu jumale le nyanda dalaje so ni ko reparation commission fana ngamira mol nyanda sensita la bango ga yaita ni ko ila do ko min randi be nyina kele be nyinni nyina kele nyina mula ko ngamira war do ben kamera modo kon karanda wara ko understand nyim bango ga Mustafa bu katro nyama de ka modo je te kamera ko karanda wanda be nyim place bar wanda place nya amam fem faham because mom ya longo nte temay ko man la mola me alonga faham da wanda karanda the issue of yaja me be nyama ka mol ko hanu ngobula rek ngako do di mol like assistant member wobe dame yaja mala victim mol ñun o ko tamita ko di ko wala baba ke atamita ko ni o bula o nyama tanda e ka impunity la wulinde so sembola banko kan sama do fanan dula do be daga ko men yaga kunum tamanke so mol men fote la mol la ko dite o replace nol mol men yan ko la mol la njura ko dite o replace nol foka fendo le ka fendo ko di ko is part of it barum kula banglet so but Gambia jani ko reparation of victims and what comes our mind is ko dol be dilanyon so problem balde Gambia jam kol kata ker ne mol buka faham ado nemma wule ka nyin blal ko indi molma aka organization ñun na tamandi nya sama aka ko lande bakala Mustafa
akumada bake watu dada Sol it seems to be yangi mute honorable Sol yangi mute
oh sorry mane deglu na Madi watan bi na he spoke about values at political consistency or what activist consistency. Why I agree with him on the side of values. Ne domi adama in whatever you do, so I'm values accept of principles you have ñoy sahal sa taxaway ci lu mundi nek rek yow sa taxaway amul njëriñ dafa melni danga nekk a beast of burden doomi adama boo xam ne yow da ngay dunda comme animal bi rek
sheep.
sa daily survival bi moo la itteel waaye yow doo xool sa ëllëg o ëllëgi sa néebu etc. Consistency, political consistency, I don't think I subscribe to that a lot, or being consistent and activist, consistent activist, because for me, my understanding of consistency is remaining at the same place, wherein as a human being, dangawara grow, dangawara expand, dangawara progress. So in your activism, in your political belief, war nga expand, war nga grow, war nga develop. For instance, loolu moo ñu delloo gannaaw ba tey soo seetee ñu ngi wax ne at the political party level waruñu am term limit. At the political party level benn nit ki rek mooy nekk the head of the party. But dafa ñëw to a point that person becomes the party itself. So gis nañ ko si Jawara ak PPP, gis nañ ko si kii Mustafa Diba, Sirif Diba ci NCP, Asan Musa Kamara ak partem bi. So gis nañ ko with doyi xam nga Halifa Sidiala in UDP is xam nga Dabo in NPP is Barrow. So be pare at the national level bëgg nañ term limit. Comme Madi wax na ko xam nga same times things yi danga ko seete ci biir kër gi. You set things right from the home unit. You need to set things right from the political party unit. Nga xam ne soo ñëwee ci réew mi ñu dénka la réew mi di nga doxal tànka yu gën a rafet yooyu. So man loolu laa gis because suñ problem is not only with the politicians mooy ñun suñ boppa because for instance maa ngi support NPP maa ngi support Barrow why man I should not come out in the public pour wax anything against Barrow. I should not come out in the public to wax anything against NPP. Once def nga loolu rek ñu ngi laa gisee as koo xam ne bokkaatuloo. So dañu waa lii you need to discuss it in-house. Waaye soo ko discussé in-house changes bi du am. Olof Njaay daf ne gàcce bu emee ci biir néeg doomi ndey koo faj waaye su demee ba ci penc ma doomi bàyyi koo faj. And ñun suñ gàcce dafa toll ci stage boo xam ne ci penc bi lañ ko war a discussé not ci biir néeg bi. Because pour waxtaanee ko ci biir néeg bi du ko solve. Ba pare I think to be quite honest ñun Gambian yi dañ content a lot. Any little thing luñ am rek dañ dee doylu ci loolu. So foog naa loolu moo dee indi that consistence biñ gaay di wax kii is a consistent person kii lii na dañ dee doylu ci li nga nekka. Yow bugguloo get any better. Bugguloo grow. So to a point boo xam ne dañ dee accept everything. I think it's some couple of weeks ago binda naa ne the Gambian like to be abused by their political lead and that's the truth. Because nit koo xam ne yow xam nga sa yelleef ci réew xam nga say sarta ci réew nga jël nit ne ko ne maa ngi laa dénka maa ngi laa jiital nga manage my affairs on my behalf nga gis kooku like ni honorable Kamala wax ngay jox kooku yar pour mu laa dóor mu laa jaamloo mu laa mbaamloo obviously yow dafa mel ni sa xel bi baaxatut so dañu war di bañ we should start to be dissatisfied with the kind of services service delivery bi ñu am from our leaders. Why we accept everything and we take everything for granted. So naka lañ expecté ne dañoo progress because Barrow would never come and change. Ne waaw lii dama soppili because su ma ko soppee ëllëg Moustapha su taxawee dina ma daaneel. Du ma soppili ëllëg Moustapha su ñëwee dina ma yóbbu ci mbaxana nekkee benn. di duma soppili because elega ci biiram dinañ nangu li ma dajale woon yëpp time bi ma nekkee ci nguur du ko def so ñun ñoo war a jóg as doomi réew ñu make sone def na loolu because ñun ñoo ko fa teg
am na solo loolu lu mel noonu mus naa ko fee wax ñu ne gars yi UDP ñu ne dañ ma jox xaalis iko yen sanne iko ye kodo le den na wala nanga diamu ñama UDP ngol yi ma ñenne bari Aziz
Yes, Mustafa.
aha
Bukala fi ka UDP ma ya lo ngawo fuer.
no bari yamin fo ye kangole lanne ko you know ba ite fama bijenne bamba nala mole ya fo yen ataki ko e korol dindela sa wal nanka diamo nya bar nene diam da janne fana NPP ngol fana yen attack bari o manken de nya kono ku mare mbare ndemi ku mare ndeya momo bijang e ko warol nakari warol momo ko nakari aba jar lagne pour que to fo na safe abitare nanye dawo dala be to fo lale be kontongo fo la hani la dimbal fo ni melo fam be brandi la ko because nyin ko sa afutata tembel la mi alonko nena nga fu janne ko ndolka mi encourage wolon mole gerawoke because iko mo banya na kila kuti mi alon nga fu ko bari geraw fana manke ku jawti ning atara nun aka fo mol buka moy oto dunya mol sa kalam da ko nyinde be kere malo azizi lafta min fo
Mustafa lafta ka komen Cameroon madi ning honorable Bakari Kamara kumo kan
okay
bari fanan lafta kala Suleiman Kando Manding nte pour ka politicien no jay man sakunda ay kafu man sakunda ma nte fe man jawya bari me ya jawya ndi wala ninga nyanta kela muneti on principle or value misali fe bi madila interest is in good governance adun ay skill soto o karol aman jawya pour man sakunda ya kola e kafuma bari madi nyanta men emphasize la wala nyinti ko mbina munemu programme oti anim fana madi nyanta parela nyina ko atela principle nama fanje no wo man sakunda kono ase pare to resign nkawo jele like
okay Aziz jannika jamfa no mala fike kundu jannika jamfa la mbar nga mari nyini ngayana madi bi ni mansa kunda president Adama Barrow la mansa kunda e komande ko e nana nga do ko ke bital
no
yes okay so say madi kana tambi silambula nga tambi
okay
na même fo kamansa kunda join among ke problem ti bari lack of principles and value system wala can be problem oti yellow bante men be criticize ni nata you turn around you ko be beteata that shows that you are on principle bari be in tara coming iko corruption ite wulta kawle kele for instance be I am a police officer maybe I have some expertise in corruption mesire nja wati nka government criticize ikonye ko naye makoy I will go bari on principle ko memune kela katuntela interest is kanyinke adun ninna ta falbe leverage dila nale pour nga nyin ninni d'accord ta wala I don't mind going but in that process nimman fangia kono I can resign the coalition government most of the time ika form wala kan a party can have a particular interest in a particular area a coalition form adatola principle is aldakota mina wala munintarambita anyela then you must shift and pursue this agenda marum na point jele ningal tata faliaje ko government has deviated from the agenda mengal agrital you resign même la problem woti comme Bakari Kamara ya fonyamen na value system. I'm sorry to say this, but Gambia is a low value society. A low value society always celebrate bad behavior and mediocrity. They never celebrate honesty. Well, not the likes of Mahdi and others who are preaching honesty. This is why they are asking Bakari, muna netebe siri ni jointanum barodenu say you are out of somewhere. It's a low value society.
But Aziz, yalo wo environment sifa ka create. Masakunda pra o create yalo wo fanang imamera wo fanang mutama ser jawole no because dobije ikamin foko yekkole ya nyoro kam molka ya nyori kam foye bata say ya je ko enake jongot. So imamera pour ko sifa ke wo fanang there's a danger attached to that for imamera.
Bari comment Masakunda Fangula mindset represents our values. Yalo fonga jele understand. Yaje civic education cannot bring about a change if it does not attack the value system. The value system, na civic education yanta kawale attack. The value system where hanin na almamolo thinko you have to align with government. Funga wale change, nimma change. We will always, personally, I want to even go further, Kafoko. We don't need a new constitution. We just need men of integrity. Because Niajibe, Jawara first constitution, Yayala second constitution was more progressive than Jawara's. But at least during Jawara time, constitutional abuse, man futa coming, Yaya ta futa tadam. Even though Yaya's is more progressive in terms of guaranteeing civic rights. What is the problem here? You have a less progressive constitution and a progressive constitution, but you have a less progressive constitution with a government that at least had some values, so that the abuse is small. You have a progressive constitution with a government mayor lonko among value functions. Are you seeing the comparison I'm trying to make?
Yes.
So this is the problem. Ntolu value mawole soto, man principle soto. Bi yemen kong bi, samay kana si wole kangiba jay la dunia bacon. So for the likes of Nyom Mai, I mean, I feel sorry for them, but they are a reflection of our society.
But for Imamera, you will blame quite a lot of Mojamal, even Mojamal, Buso, Lala, Mojamal, like a many, some of them, they're innocent, Aziz.
No, Ninko is, a reflection of our society. It's the larger. But Kendo Lubejele, they want why would we have a Mahdi? Why would we have a Bakari Kamara? Why would we have a Suleiman Jeng? And, Mustafa Jammi.
But Aziz, Banko Mita foi Kajako Mokendo Leke Conteleke Tombong. Remember what is a failed state for?
Well, Nankoeko is a low value society. Again, if you want me to define it more.
No, it's fine. I get it.
I'm just giving you an example.
Mustafa, I want to comment here. Aziz Ndella Banko Benyamin, we come for winner takes all at the end of the day. Ibugaji Beko on the camera by the other side, but despite a good idea certainly as a value add no lembe keka. Mbugo Jube, but Madam not a cookie. In fact, Amame, I will cite this as an example. When coffee time, Dr. Usman Kajigo and then Larry Cesar and others, Dr. Mane, putting pressure on the finance minister on the Africa 50 issue. It went to a point where the minister found, look, if they have that expertise, why not they come and then join us? Problem all solved. If that call is made in good faith, there's no problem. Is it no? Because at the end of the day, you're working for Gambians. You are not working for NPP or Adama Barrow. Gambian no len. So near idea sort of pruka offer Barrow Kumandro Bekela with good faith le. Yet I need a dog or you can still supply them with ideas. But then Nimul go away, halfway dalto wrong because Nalone a minister may have yes, these people can come. Nika go, okay, we are ready to come. What are you going to offer? Or even when deal and the Menkel Prugajoka and economy situation improve. As a Fenkel, I want to hand I think I will tell her to a level or short time to Yapokonga carrying your bundle. Last year I remember when the deportation issue candidate. Syria being the chairman of our Foreign Affairs Committee, then when we were in the parliament, I think a call was, they called him, Kafago, look, Honorable, what do you think we can do to solve this problem? And our sincere opinion, Mende, I want to believe he shared that one with them. So ninkata onyama, at the end of the day, no problem will be solved. But until muka kuolje onyama, because nkaje lako, ninga Mustafa kumande Mustafa la good idea again. Ni Mustafa the particular, sama Mustafa la patio. Na lota na diam da mole bidate le bende tulajel. This is why our local governments are having problem with the central government. Nothing is happening at our citizen level, at the urban level. Problem will be mola nyamul buka fina correct call after nyamin sidol buka de dano because Ross lebe kere. Like KMC for example. So Congo member caring central government kaja Rohim Malik Law, for example, is performing better in Banjul. Came Talib is performing well. Brikama Yankuba is doing A and B. So Nin join the hands with Yankuba Ngafang Purunga support. I bambang I do work at the end of the day. Ninka Tefo Sira Yankuba Veja win the restaurant. So Nimu Miro the Miano Gamiano Nyanda Nimbon Lake Moko. A woman Menkumada Olem, Hani Tete, but Banku Nyanda mentioned the answer. So Nimu obstacle let me along Gondola Bango, I abandon the market. Game me along about what forces GTSC or government to approach social security 9.8 million euro boni kata bosol some quickly, even the modalities where the men they don't follow the right way quick because the memory wallen e go talba urban transport system abole doku kananka bosol nati so a roste guy nin talbe bosol nati jam fo borta je mall transport mall content ite te kat resort la jan so it forces government kata ke bulo dum pension national la ko do kono katama so these are issues nyanta men jubel people have to be patriotic.
Akumara, thank you, Bakari. Final thoughts, Bakari, what would that Bakele? Ila final thoughts na kachakungo konoto dia jamin bitala because Akumara jamba.
Ndala time was still left for it.
Okay, Janin Mari. Okay, Mari, let's come to you, Mari. Your final thoughts. Ila konoto dia na kachakungo to be, and then
Janni ayala konoto dia for let him tell us why Ako ni Baroya invite he's not going to work with the government. Because je kumayata mo lafta kajelo.
Yeah, so it's very simple. Simply because Baro the government monetary operate according to the constitution and laws, so that to ensure good governance PJ. So there are a lot of constitutional violations, legal violations. There's a lot of abuse of office, corruption or theater, and Malonko Lankana Malonko, it's not my opinion. The Auditor General has produced those reports, the National Assembly, police investigations, other commissions of inquiry, and of course, the whole transitional justice GB. So the shortcomings are too many. So that at the worst case, or in a best case scenario, maybe it is what, as he said, if Barrow wants me to work in his government, for see and put things on the table. It is not like, I'm coming, not working for Barrow or NPP, but Mena can do Gambia because Namojama Kolefo. Appointed is an opportunity to serve my country. No, I think that is a very wrong statement. All right. The Gambians, they Barrow elect to manage the affairs and the resources of this country based on our constitution and in Lual Melbelaring and in ethical standards. So, member caring Cabrin 2017 to date, a Kaustilo Lamfele. So therefore, for me, any honest patriotic citizen, Barrow calls you, see Ale Kolande on the table. That Medoko Kela, it is not for you, and Dokoman can tell a miro Dokoning the terms of reference beloring Lualeka. And I will operate according to that law. If we make agreement, maybe, yes, I can join. But otherwise, my initial reaction would be, I don't want to associate with any project that is destroying the Gambia. Yeah. So, and as far as I'm concerned, the Barrow government is not serving the best interest of the Gambia right now. And, the evidence of that is overwhelming. So that at the, because I have another thing to go to right now, you know, I think as citizens must recognize ko nyimbanko ngai independence on science and war. And near all indicators GB, political, economic, social, ibajala ko Gambia bedame adangdo at a back. And war is not because Malondo Sotong or Majorang Sotong, Warante Manaflo Sotong, or Haramadil TJ. I think Gambia has everything. But then what we suffer from fundamentally is lack of ethical leadership. Nyatonkaya memmelorin nin daji kokan. And war cuts across the political spectrum, the social spectrum, the economic landscape, the professional, intellectual landscapes. War is a big concern because I look at coming, Ngande found Jibe, my contemporaries, in government or not in government. But I'd like to see why am I outraged by what is happening, and I don't see most of the other people concerned or outraged. They don't want to go the extra mile. What is the problem? So for me, values, coming, Aziza Fanyame, and as I was saying earlier, the level of values in Bangoka is very low. Now they in our homes, in our communities, in our institutions, in our organizations, and across society and state. And war, I don't know, but that is a big problem. And for me, that is why Nyimfuarabe Banko can tell Timbalabe Banko can, and all the products in Mensoto. I was in another forum some time ago, some young people, we have another country, Melonko, they get independence in 1965. It's called Singapore. And today they are, in among the top 5 most developed countries in the world. By 1990, Singapore was already a first world country. In 2000, the first president of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, wrote a book from third world to first world, the story of Singapore. And in the opening of the book, Lee Kuan Yew said in 1965, he had never thought coming at a still for Singapore, at a Singapore, but it happened in 1965. So on that day, he asked himself, as a 42-year-old man, call upon Kana Kala Mol Nyaton Kaya. Aka nyaye buko jele men kaitande how to cook. I buko jele kaitande how to make a table. He saw books how to make a chair. Ako barana nyama buko je how to build a nation. And he, at 42, 1965, your responsibility there to lead other people. So how can he lead his people? A tiny country, locked in the shadows of big nations, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious.
Mm-hmm.
But Lee Kuan Yew, and this is 1965, that it dawned on him, Kajako, leadership matters. And leadership la kumaya ndo fola moto fono la fire tambi because dawda ndita leadership la kumaya was sabatitale. But I will emphasize leadership la kumaya nyaton kaya tunkul nyaton kaya jiko member nyaton kaya kan and so on. But he said because of that I could dental for a melon in Singapore. One is meritocracy. Moment in the place of ay ke moti melon ko yama ka mo soton yano soton ne yaje a hammo beto anata skila melon ko you know ya soton tonyale ka. And number 2 ako accountability ko kontibo nyanta sabati la momanding ibe menkan ye kontibo ala ye menke imam menke ye kontibo ala. And the third thing I meant for performance. So Singapore, these are the 3 pillars. And in accountability, today being a more corruption for even a UN program to World Bank program. 1965 Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew was talking about corruption. That how about make sure like corruption canana in Singapore. And according to combat corruption, I better from the top level. Yo, you know, as is nala moni kate ganyin dindon muta, you know, video officers ibe sambala iko corruption.
Suleiman nala bolem, Suleiman nala.
You know, but you know, I mean, big time corruption, more you know, more exactly. At the highest level, more man think one. But Lee Kuan Yew said, if you want to combat corruption, start from the top.
Exactly.
Yes. So then, you know, Gambia left and now Mira 60 years later. The World Bank and the IMF classify us as highly indebted poor country. And name offering highly indebted poor country. Meantime, the taxes are so high. It means you have taken loans to a level that you cannot pay back the loans at the same time before Riakono. Anyanta Siriketa Kumandana Jao explained, how can you take loans so much? Yeah, Julo ta for labang, Julo ma jono, but what Julo not a four and the Kotek.
Jani bitambila jila mari. Siriketa nga kumandile na kachata ngalungo muta fonga watu muta the last minute, 20 minutes before program. I could labai malo minekera ninga call mukaso for record sake.
Yeah. So Banyanoko no kumala banto therefore leadership kumata that leadership nyanta sata lori nin daji koleka. Well leadership tamandiri bulo nyanta kelamenti wolom kontiboro anindoko. Now the Gambia na leadership man dajika atamandiri bulo manke kaje ko kontiboro lankena morning kontiboro sabati and in performance and delivery law. But of course, Nidata across the government, Alondo began about management, administration, human resources, performance, delivery, accountability, law. Alondo began. Alondo be cabinet kono. But the output Nina Jibe Ajakalowa. Then I remember Jamme time because I had friends, minister, permanent secretaries, finance, trade, you know, education. I go to finance quadrangle. I tell you, member about finance, about economics, and everything. Nim banko min del benyum kono. I tell you, banko jumala economy manage. According to Atele London, you know, no economy manage. You have Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, but I don't know Ministry of Loans and Projects. I have project for Tala Molie, I mean loans for Tala Molie, I have project called Talia Druma. You know, I bring Bakari Bay in the National Assembly. Ye loan agreement dole natinang. Ikoeba sign na for smallholder farmers focusing on youth and women in URR and in CRR. I remember I confronted few names. Sidia Bo Konole, Suleiman Saubo Konole, maybe Jawara, Sana Jawara, but about 5 of them, even the corridor, you know, Bakaro corridor, the staircase, but I'm in Purkas and the chambers. Go on, loan Arkaran inside. You know, go Arkaran inside. Go on, left alone. Alta Minister of Finance, they have a bulletin, they can produce 8 bulletin. It documents loans and grants government receives. Where they had a committee, Brindebe Tango, I was part of that committee. Where that loans from 2012 to 2016. I have calculated loans in grants in Gambia in agriculture alone amounted to $2.3 billion. And loans in projects called law, projects are about smallholder farmers to support them, seed banking, value chain, seeds, fertilizer, implements, and so on. Because projects in agriculture, it 2.3 billion. Because so now you loan maker can assign, approve, call the finance minister, agriculture minister, what has been the impact of our loans on. Now just about the economy, ni ma thinking because government bijala fana for her nga loan at like am so ni funding kill ma ko national assembly mo le ma approve. Nga la fana al fana la for mo ne ko na ma approve, na then ma approve. You see, Mustafa, right now, as my organization, I am documenting, we are documenting projects per sector. Education, health, energy, sports, security, blah. We are documenting from 2017 to date. So that eventually, after information is Gambians are kaitan the ko Tilimbali are coming at the beginning that the state is a fraud, that Bankola Tamani Bundabe loaning only to benefit those who work in there. And one of those areas Gambia use is these loans and grants. And this goes way back since independence. Mustafa, I mean, I'm sure you are old enough, but as usual, would know Jahani Pachar.
From
1981 to 1991, something like that. You understand? Multi-million-dollar project. Yeah. More example tebana from the bitlo mentor. And the more melbenim project called managed camp. Everywhere, every ministry you go, you have a project implementation unit, project coordination unit. They know. But the values, what a man soton je. Ama ya londo soton. Yeah, it's a no. Membe keles hakeno. But imam pare. Kake, because again, as Singapore afonyame, accountability tije. Bakari was in the National Assembly, the PAC and the PEC. A lot of government reports can before them, SOE reports. And they see the corruption, they see the underperformance, they see the misuse of funds. They have a committee on government projects, make like a government projects on Jibe. So at Tirimbali, they know. But National Assembly, it can make sure there is accountability. I don't know that. National Audit Office, Auditor General can report on that. This right now, the 2020 audit report, you read it. Ikaminda ko nyimbanko luate nyinsato da nyinsato luate nyinsato. Ikodo pisir pasara nyame. Yeah. So Gambia ko at dimina water and nuclear water and and until Li Huan US law menta. The man leaders from members la sifatala. Ntama je nyimbanko be bola nyame. But kala kundu goto tronka foko gamanol alngasi ngalon ko nyimbanko is 60 years old. And the time Kanyimbanko Bondi, it is now than ever because Mustafa 2025 and going forward is the most precarious time in global history. Let us look at the situation in West Africa, the situation in Africa, the global situation. Let us look at it. Moment in Qatar, you realize the very serious time every country for national security. You need to think about education, healthcare, food, energy, and everything else. And everything else, near all the sectors, Gambia monetary position ta ka member national security protect la. Because when it is food, you realize any position that being in dunia, because today we are at the brink of a third world war, a nuclear war. All right. 1945, only one country had a nuclear weapon. 2025, you are counting more than 10 countries with nuclear weapons. They are all, led by irresponsible leaders. So dunia janjanta B, Gambia, can we feed ourselves for the next 3 months when we close the Gambia? Can we provide our electricity for 3 months for Gambians? Can we provide, medicines for 3 months to our population? See, national security in those terms. Then in national security, we are thinking in terms of military and police and crime and so on. But imagine there is some crisis. How do we sustain ourselves? We saw the COVID. Now, COVID is a pandemic. Ni international community mandate support COVID be Gambia be fallen. I remember Ebola time I was in the Gambia. It was the same situation. HIV/AIDS, it was the same situation. So for the leadership and across the board, are we thinking in terms of national security? Yes. Be Qatar to the hospital, they will tell you there are a lot of skills. Even traffic lights. Gambia be traffic light clean the Bukatama, because even traffic light technology, they go to Senegal to get an expert to come and fix traffic light. Lights at Karaba Avenue traffic light. Because the skill TJ, they are telling you Gambia has only one of that expertise and so on. So you can build universities, but at the end of the day, for purposes of national security, how can we secure that we should have, for purposes of national security, a certain number of doctors, a certain number of orthopediatricians, a certain number of surgical doctoral terminologists. In security, we need a certain number of forensics experts. We need a certain number of that for national security now maintain. We need food banks that at any level government should have. All right, food silos. It is going to contain rice and other food products. For the next 3 months, Gambia without the outside world we can survive. Energy, the energy we are taking power from Q power, car power. I think I've car power and in Senelec. If those things cut right now, how can we power our country? So there should be a national strategic meeting to look at national security. What are our national security imperatives? But the Lamol de busy water, if they're busy in political drama, my father knew the more fala kumakuntam fola, I understand. And so on. So my brothers, I thank you very much. And I wish.
Madi, mbina doku nyinole ya.
Awel. No, it dogo. It minandel train na le.
Hani.
You should come to Gambia and come and lead Edward Francis Small Center for Us and Just, because these are all issues we are going to get into. You understand?
Yes. Mbina ya doku nyinole wallahi. Kontanta baka baraka.
All right, Mari, thanks for your time, Abaraka. Thank you for the time. Much obliged.
Yeah.
Abaraka.
All right, yeah. I'm sorry, I got to go because I'm getting calls right now on this.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot,
all right.
Martin. All right,
okay,
thank you.
Suleiman.
Bakari.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks.
Okay, Bakari,
Yeah.
your final thoughts.
Yeah, Mustafa, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have a long way to go. Nabango Bedaming, Ikamoko is on a crossroad. Problem will be sharing, and Inyanta like a solved. Abemane Rimbakele. So niajibe do all bundal benyamin this corruption man ke kote me alongo abenu ko nimbango ka. So mbemune ke not goes audit report ole aitandile. And corruption is the worst in Bangkok. Agamda mol nyante ina fala mena ka samba loptano to ka samba karambol to nimo kilinka uta ka abla la jiko kono kubuka noje. Pulet me alongo adim tabakel. And politician all animal member balance, they need to be honest and sincere enough. Member caring ya homole. again ko madi afnyam audit report ol menu tamet even at the national assembly level FPAC or whatever ika mol indirectly mol kanale fonka songo yes ngani menga manya na kala ne loi manda so but at the end of the day purga loi tamandu wol ka as we speak we have 10 years on retired impresses many ango mol yeta ma explain no ko dol ñun explain ñam so ka president men sen corruption no continue la ñim banko fa gam bakel so mol ñanda the leadership has to be very very bold kaje ko banko molla ko do mende ay tanka that's very very important no batinale banko bita nyaato bakel bar budun nyimu banko de me alon ko alhamdulillah ni banko jamal fatata ne momen accuse corruption wala sama wala ka kata banko kam cause tama mol nyako alon ko fende kala ji ado bukan samba nyaato bakel so mu kulen men yalon ko nyanda do ko kala an banko dingol fana role so do programme ni man sa kunama banko dingol le findi mamba umange nyinde ko albe seta noldo alla ko do men ya kasara men ya alla soro ko kasara ya fo ya findi do ko mara bakel
ini bara bake Bakari Aziz ila kono to dia final thoughts
follow fonga Bakari soto again katu Bakari experience soto bake politiko to wo kuma ya tabaki so Bakari
maro ngala Bakari la moy Aziz la
memmen na fo yena koteke ninga soto ela nu ifana be kela permanent president leti jam katu politiko katama nyame Gambia kono yalo neba ibenu akonole ibenu parliament kono num wote Gambia politiko fo nola imam parliament foje imam politicien ol foje bi yemme yitandi ye politician la manya yitandi bari also politics katama nyame Gambia yo yitandi bi kata diata back Mustafa mbe tentula bari mbe na panelisol to malu be tentula Suleiman Jeng especially madi fana bi ay karandi kukutol nung madi diamuta about national security la meya lonko tumodo Gambian ko jama ka term use national security national interest
yes
bari mbuka bono nyoto nin tara nung madi se another time soto akuma yata pour ayena koteke na wofana fango ke topic ti abe kela karango e molu bari hani député wolu because ma mirako the special committee on security or national security passé ye national security faham ko madia explain nyame ko national security is beyond just the traditional security forces defense and security yale mo understand
yes je kumara yes
yo woto bi womu kuleti meng ninsa sotalla nsi woke bari kontanta bak adun mbedwala mobe jang na Alfaba Suleiman mbedwala e bak malo nate tejan num bi mbe kela nyame bayri nde tejan adun nyinle mo fulol te me alon ko they are the greatest anko woto mbal be jayla mbal tentula fo sibiti koten ala baraka
Aziz ifanam se mol la hedi janko ite absent la fo jannin sango be banna gadum ye Bakari sasile Bakari Bakari ko fanam Aziz ye sasile asirota
so inshallah ngata inshallah no problem inshallah
so Aziz bru sasiro be murne defanan kanko budu yene fanan dena kana absent
ya lon sulu ko long term relationship dala mankoy I am not going to sign for better and for worse. I will just take for better. But try na back kana.
Honorable Saul, it seems to be in a busy corner.
Hamga Aziz definitely bugay mo neka suma boss te bugutan nangulul.
Your final thoughts.
So as a sumo boss la, I think Madi has really raised the bar for us. and wax na ci loo xam ne dafa am solo.
yaa ngi mel ni fi nga nekk sa network bi baaxut de Aziz malum fo itel la boss ma de fatel la boss muy de bari
Suleiman mun na boss leti. Suleiman mun na boss leti.
Okay, I think online of finger yang ma dega sol kon dinañ tagato den ni asara
Sorry,
yang ma dega
waaw maa ngi laa dégg suma connection bi sorry. ma li ma doon wax ne mooy Madi wax na lu am solo bugga naa ci just wax tuuti mooy ethics ak principles because soo gisee dara nekkul di dox amuñ ethics amuñ principles wax nañ Sabally wax nañ Dr. Cissé, these are all young people ñoo xam ne dañ am great potentials waaye man dama gis ne Barrow daf leen xëcca ci booram pour yaxa seen ëllëg. It's not bad pour nga critique a system especially so believe ne system bi comme ni ko Madi waxee they no operating according to the laws of the land. So suñ la invite kay liggéey ñun da nga war a sàmm sa principles ne leen I would come why dina operate on this. So demee ba gis ne you cannot operate pour nga effect those changes is best nga sàmm sa ngor nga ne leen doy naa jërë ngeen jëf because poli da demba dañ daan wax ne bunti àddina ñaar la bunti gàcce ak bunti dee te ñu bari dee bi la ñu jël because xam nañ ne dee bi du jaas nga jël bunti dee bi nga dee moo gën nga dunda ak gàcce ba pare nga endop ngay dee te soo gisee dara nekku di dox si dëkk bi because suñ values ak principles yi dafa tuuti so ñu ngi wax ne waaw léegi Barrow su la ooyee jox la 10 million Barrow su la ooyee jox la place xaalis bi is not the thing that 10 million dalasi lan la laa jëriñ su ma ko joxee 2 months xëy na mujjee place bi su la ko joxee ëllëg ci biiram mun nga ñàkk place bi waaye fekk sa ngor bi jaay nga ko man gëm naa ne ngor mooy doomi adama soo ñàkkee sa ngor rek yaa animals yi benn ngeen so moo tax ñun suñ dëkk bi du dem fen because dañ jël alal bàyyi ngor gi dañ jël àddina bàyyi ngor gi so moo tax ñi doon bañ demba yëpp tey dañ nangu Olof Njaay daf ne sa noon bu nekkee sa xarit tey lim bëggoon demba moo yàlla moo dogalul loolu parce que yàlla bu dogalee sa noon lim bugga ci yow kooku du musa nekk sa xarit waaye noon bu ñëw nekkaat xarit xamal ne lim bëggoon ci yow moo amut so moo tax suñ politics du set you got principled people like Madi Jobate war nañoo xam na is like ñëpp duñ mun a nekk politicien waaye nit nañ ñu mel ni ñoom dugga si suñ politique bi jël leadership bi pour bring that change biñ bugga because doo mun a change system from outside especially ñun suñ government bi suñ réew mi ni mel you can only change it when you are within. You cannot only change it even if you are within the necklace decision making unit B. You have to be part of the decision makers pour nga muna effect those changes. So tana be man suma demee naa ne Sidi Touré bul jël assist because xam nga assist opposition la assist nii la so fekk assist am na xam-xam am na experience am na knowledge boo xam ne su ko Sidi jëloon dina effect a lot of changes dina transform policy so loolu moo bari Gambia suñu xamee ne kii ku baax la yow doo dem te am na njiit ñoo xam ne benn noppa la njiit boo xam ne loo ko wax rek mu gom ko njiit boo xam ne du gestu yow soo ñëwee tey for instance li ma dee wax Barrow is the luckiest president yow da nga ñëw fekka social media baa ngi advance mu ngi boom yaa ngi ñëw fekka sa doomi réew bi ñu ngi gën a jànga génnuñ I remember ñun time bi ma nekkoon police ñun we were only 4 graduates foofu waaye léegi soo seetee police bi ñaata xale ñu amee masters in the police ñaata graduates ñoo nekk police ñun buñ jeexale uni pour dem gars yi dañoo laajte loolu xanaa ween di ngeen dox because time boobu police xen na secondary 4 ñoo fa bari even so O levels ku am O levels xen na sa O levels baaxut ñoo dee dem police so Gambia Barrow waroon naa nekk koo xam ne Gambia léegi war naa romba fi mu nekk 60 years yow ba tey yaa ngi dunda ci meyma ci lebal ma naka nga progressé as a country doo mun a dem
am na solo
so suñ lawmakers yi no they the same as Barrow because soo waxee ñu ne waaw ñun we are divided loolu is just a lame excuse boo xam ne ñu ngi excuse seen own inability ñu ngi excuse seen lack of ethics ñu ngi excuse seen lack of principles because soo amee principles nga am sa ethic even sa party bi tax nga represent win sa seat bi soo gisee mu ngi def naka la sudut noonu you would stand alone and say no I wouldn't support this because this is against my principle this is against my ethics sa leader su waxee loo xam ne is dafa contradict sa principles ak sa ethics nga taxaw ne ko ne déedéet su bañee be bañ nga jox ko place am nga delloo ko place am
waaye xam nga lu tax ñu bari duñ dee def loolu da fekk yow ñàkk nga sa xam nga anyway am na solo moo tax ñu bari
loolu is like I remember there was
ñàkk nga dañoo wax ne ñàkk naa fele bokkuma fi arama am fi rek ma bokk fi gettu bi
loolu soo ko gisee Moustapha dafa fekk ne yow jaguloo benn amuloo xam-xam bi ñaar amuloo métier ñetta xam nga amuloo benn éthique ak principles da nga gis ne bu njëkk bi time boobu police officer su retire the only job bi mu am mooy nekk security officer or nekk watchman waaye léegi all these young police officers soo leen daaxee the next minute ñu ngi ubbi seen own businesses they've got their professions lawyers lañ they can go open their own xam nga chambers ak yooyu so espègulo ñooñu tey ñu retire ñu nekk security officers or guards because am nañ métier am nañ qualification so ko xam ne yow soo suñ la daaxee liggéey ngay jooy ngay dem di raam 30 nit dafa fekk ne yow mënuloo dundal sa bopp sa life dafa depend ci ñeneen
am na solo jërëjëf sol Butung Bakary thank you for your time bi saro di la jande mbe dana jande follow kunala inshallah
thank you
all right thank you Butung lamar la ngi veralu mobe dawda anibe wato do non na local civic education program mi yalon ka so ka bona Skype radio and TV services program nyin kana sibiti like about talang lulu UK la time o Gambia talang nani Europe talang woro aka kanya wole fe sibiti la program kana but program o be alfal be to yala management civic education mo be to yala kabo ndey jobate mi ala blom tata manna Bamba Mas Elaji Sedi Baro Suleiman Jang Mimbi Jang Bi aning Aziz Bojang Aning Bakari Kamara ning Mari Jobate mi aloy BMVB me tantulam be jey la bake ru watu en sunyin lambe danna jenne fosibit nala inshallah kabaran Sky Power Radio and TV services salning Albani Malo Mustafa Jame membe siri program mo kunna fosibit nala inshallah alimbara kana so mu me kanine faso la kamia Sonia inina tai boso wala inina tai fawola Sigana jenganya tamna mangolela sigana Sigana amna kafunyo mana domuta Sigana wili munya tatani na pasto kabia kolbe inana konjibati kabia kolbe inango kaina kabia kolbe inango la bankoji kabia kolbe inango masia Banco di